up? Hello, everyone. It is Monday, and I'm Todd Bookspan, the founder of Win by Noon, and I'm so excited that you're here for another Monday Win by Noon webinar. I'm grateful to be joined today by my co-host, the CEO and founder of PlugandPlaySM, Deborah Byrd. What's up, Deborah?
I feel like we're Twinkies today.
You know, we are. This was not planned. This was not planned. I was actually thought I was going to be wearing a sweatshirt over this. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's really hot here in Arizona, but I'm working from home today and my daughter keeps it like a refrigerator. It's 83 degrees outside. So if I was wearing a sweatshirt, I'd feel a little weird, but I'm upstairs and I get to control the air conditioner up here and she's downstairs where it's like 42 degrees or something.
It's 77 degrees here.
All right. Well, that's not bad.
No.
That is not bad at all.
So well, yeah, representing our gear. And I think anyone who's listening to this, they need to also get some gear. Where do they need to go, Todd, to support that they're a winner?
You know, it's shop.winbynoon.com. I always get that wrong. I used to say something different, but it's shop.winbynoon.com. And we're working on getting the sales boomerang, the No Borrower Left Behind shirt in there. That's hopefully will be in there this week. And of course, you get mortgage coach stuff in there as well. And I think Ken Perry wants to get a knowledge coop in there now. I mean, everyone's like, you know, we're the cool place.
I mean, what about Plug and Play?
Well, I was just thinking, where are you at? Why aren't you in there?
You know, I told Adam that, you know, he was the one that helped create the stickers. I don't know if you knew that. Of course, I don't have my sticker on my own planner. You do.
Well, I'll show everyone the sticker so they can be jealous since I have it on
created by Adam.
There it is right there. This one right here.
Like, how cool of a shirt would that be? It's a play on AC/DC.
That would be a very cool shirt. That'd be a very cool shirt. I also have the sticker down here, which you can't read. I just put it on there, but my daughter bought it for me. It says, "Good human quality assured."
Wow. I like it.
We had date night. We went to her favorite restaurant and to her favorite bookstore the other night. And then she bought me that as a present.
I'm the worst at a bookstore. I could buy every book. There was a point where I needed an intervention because I love books. I don't always finish all of them. I think I read a statistic. Most people get to page 11. I don't know if you've heard that anywhere.
Statistic like that. So yeah, I'm on a book buying moratorium because I have so many books. And so this place is really cool. And don't worry, guys, we really will actually make this actionable in a few moments. But one is make date night. So whether you have a significant other or children, right? All about scheduling date nights. So this place is cool because it's got the book bar at it. So it's actually got a bar as part of the bookstore. And, you know, sadly, I didn't drink anything. I know you're shocked. I didn't get they have really good craft beer there, but I did not have one. But actually what I did was I did my week ahead action plan while I was there and while she shopped for books. So I shopped with her for a little bit and then she's kind of like, "Dad, get away." Like, you know, at some point you don't want to be in the teen section. She thought it was a little bit weird that I was there while she was looking at books. So I was like, all right, that's cool. And then she bought a puzzle. I did get to help her pick out the puzzle and the stickers. So that part was good.
She wasn't looking at 50 Shades of Grey, was she? Sorry. You know, just checking.
All right. Well, yeah, that's all good. So yeah, Jeremy, I agree with you, right? That's just not inappropriate. That's not appropriate. But you know what? I'm very fortunate to have 3 daughters, and I know way more about things with my children than I would want to know, but I'm glad that I know them all. We have such a very good, honest, and open communication as a family.
I'm sure you do.
I credit my wife for that. I credit my wife for that.
Oh, well, y'all are the ideal parents. That's why we need a Win by Noon child edition or teen edition.
You know, my kids have threatened to do it and they've talked about it. I just need, you know, I mean, someone else who's got more motivated kids. It's kind of like oftentimes, like when I talk to my team, they're like, yeah, whatever. But when they hear what I say from somebody else, they're like, oh my gosh, I heard this really smart thing. And I'm like, I've told you that 55 times. So it's kind of like your kids. They don't want to hear it from you as a parent. Although my daughter, my 26-year-old did call me for tax advice. She was doing her taxes. Well, actually she was more like, hey Dad, can you help me do my taxes over the weekend? But that's all good.
Yeah. We're not going to say taxes right now for me. I'm trying to find as many possible expenses this year before I file.
That's a good problem to have. To have. So, all right. So let's talk about the subject of the day. So last week we talked about the TCA a day and the CMA a day challenge. And then you launched for loan officers, the 75 hard loan officer challenge. And I think those integrate extremely well together. So real quick, why don't you talk about your challenge? Because I would love to have you share that with the community.
So it was actually inspired by Todd. He had sent me just an image and gave the idea of how to take a play on the 75 hard. And those of you who haven't heard of the 75 hard, it's a workout program by Andy. What's his last name? It's like
Frizella.
Yes. It's a very hard workout. And the hardest part is it's a whole workout program, like mind, body, and soul. There's 2 workouts a day. One of them has to be outside, drink a gallon of water. You have to read 10 pages a day. Anyways, no alcohol consumption. So that's kind of a deal killer for a lot of loan officers. But it's a really hard challenge. And the goal is for 75 hard is you consistently do the commitments that you are honoring for the challenge. And if you miss just one day, then you have to start all over. And what is considered a day is just before you go to sleep. So even if you go to sleep at 2 a.m., if you end up getting your second workout in by 1, then it still counts as the day. So, people always start off gung-ho and they do maybe like the first week perfectly, and then they kind of trail off, which is very similar to what we saw happen with a lot of people when they were doing the CMA a day or TCA a day challenge. So I did a play on it for social media, and it's meant to be hard. And I kept hashtagging choose your hard, because I feel like right now it's either hard because you're not closing any deals and you have all these leads and inventories tight. And you're either going to do something about it, which, goes along with the quote, the One by Noon quote today. It says, "You got this, make it happen." So it's just, again, choose your heart. You're either going to have a pipeline in the future or you're not. And by doing these daily activities and these daily commitments, sorry, I'm trying to pull it up right now, with your social media, then you are taking all considerations with social. So it's not just what you post, when you post, how you post, which is what we sometimes spend too much time on. And those are things that you can leverage a company like myself. We help take care of that heavy lifting for you. But there's aspects to, are you doing 20 likes and comments on other strategic accounts? So those would be top referral sources or people who you want to get referrals from, or maybe your top clients in your database that are raving fans and are very social heavy. So you want to do 20 comments and likes a day.
Does it have to
20
be
direct.
What's your mix between that? Should it be more comments, 20 comments and likes, or is it like 10 and 10, or what do you think that is?
No, 20 comments, which happy birthdays count.
Okay.
And 20 likes.
All right. So 20 comments, 20 likes per day.
Per day.
All right.
Now you could like on the same post that you comment on, but the reason why you want to do it on your strategic account. So for our influencer clients, what we do is we get a relationship management form, and I'll ask, who are your top referring partners and who do you want your top referring partners to be? And we do 10 comments and likes a day for those people. But again, we want it to be very strategic where you're nurturing the relationships that matter. Because what the social algorithms see is that you guys have a relationship, which is why, if you've ever wondered, like, why do the people on your story feeds, like if you have 5,000 friends and you think, why do I keep seeing the same people? Like Todd probably always sees me, is because we've DM'd, we've commented, we've tagged each other. And so the algorithm sees, oh, you two have a social relationship. So now it's going to reward that relationship, thinking that you like to see my stuff, I like to see your stuff, and it's going to push my content in your feed. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. All right. So 20 and 20, and then you said DMs as well.
And then 20 DMs. So that's private messages. The easiest way to do this, how I do it, is when you see on someone's story that they post something, whether it's inspirational, it was a date night with your kid, I could easily just respond to that story and put how fun. And that would go as a direct message or a private message. But it's usually better to do, if you think of it like dating, you've kind of been flirting a little bit, you're liking, you're commenting publicly. And then maybe you see something that, someone listed an open house or whatever. And then you're going to send a private message saying, hey, how was your turnout at this? Have you noticed any differences in the market? It doesn't just always have to be business related, but you're just flirting on social media.
Okay. So a couple of important questions about that. First off, is it DM or PM? Like which one's like the cool way to say
DM on the Instagram, on the gram. PM when it's LinkedIn or Facebook, private message.
Right.
That's what makes it hard when you're writing captions. Like for Instagram, you would say DM, just shoot me a DM.
All right. That's good. Cause I want to make sure that I sound intelligent. And so that totally makes sense. Cause when someone says I should private message somebody, I'm thinking that's super creepy. But if it's a lot easier if I'm doing it off a story, because I do that every once in a while, like how cool,
Yeah.
right? So, all right, so now I'm in that. So 20, 20, and 20 every single day.
Every day. There's more.
Dang.
And I just want you guys to know, it's since 2019, we know that like the behavioral statistics of people liking and commenting and sharing are so low. There's been a drastic decline, but this is a way for you to stand out even more with those priority partners of yours to show them love, is because most people, they want to make a post and they want that dopamine rush and to see the likes, and they're just down. Humans just aren't doing that as much. So if you're doing it and you're consistent and strategic about it, which I won't go too nerdy, but in Facebook, you can create a favorites group, and then you can create each friend you could put in like top, like grade A prospects, grade B, grade C. So if you can think of it as more of a database management system that you're leveraging as a tool and not just a toy, you're just nurturing. You're giving people likes, high fives, hey, great job, or that looks cool, cute pic, whatever. So then you have to do 2 TCAs a day,
Okay.
or CMAs a day. And one of them has to be a 1-to-many. That's the equivalency to the 2 45-minute workouts and the 75 hard. Is this one is either 2 TCAs or 2 CMAs a day that are proactive. And again, one of them being 1-to-many. So this then fits with 2 story posts a day. Have I lost people already? Story posts are like behind the scenes, like what you did.
So this is in addition to the other thing. All right, 2-story.
Oh yeah, this is the whole. I'll send this to you if you want, but it has
I
all
saw
the
it
rules
online,
here.
so we'll post in the group. That'd be great. And then make sure we got a realtor version and a loan officer version. Although I know you don't want realtors. You don't.
I'll do it just for you, Todd.
You don't work with realtors, so I guess you don't need to do that. But realtors are doing this as well.
The 2-story post, I say to be more like behind the scenes type footage, like, if you're showing a home, or maybe you're showing like the cracks in the wall, like what to look out for. If you're a first-time home buyer and you're walking a property like this, obviously may show some foundation issues, whatever. Stories are like behind the scenes type stuff. Because again, you're inviting people. It's almost like reality TV, which is where that's how most television is they want that behind the scenes. What do you do? Maybe it's you running DU for the 14th time, trying to get a deal to work. So 2-story post, 1 reel. And again, you could use the reel or the story as your TCA for the 1-to-many if you wanted to. And then you must reply and like any comments on any of your posts that you make. So if someone is commenting or any comments you get on your post, you have to respond and like. You must own the win by noon mindset. So you have to plan your highest priority activities for each morning and be sure they are done before noon. And then if you miss just one day, you have to start all over.
All right, so we got a couple of questions. So someone says, are the daily posts across all platforms? So like, can they split them up between like the 20 likes and the 20 comments? Can that be on Instagram and then on Facebook? Or you're not meaning that you're going to do 20 on every platform, correct?
You can divide it up. I would choose to focus on the platforms that you're getting the most traction from, or you're trying to grow on, or where your target audience is the most. Obviously, if you're attracting financial advisors, CPAs, other like B2B, LinkedIn may be better, as well as Facebook. I mean, Facebook is still the #1 platform, but it's been declining quickly and losing followers and just activity time due to Instagram and TikTok.
All right.
Short form video.
It's interesting because I went to an event last Thursday. I think it was Thursday. Who knows? My days are all blurred together. Last Wednesday. And, high end, it was a $15 million home, and it was a 30-person VIP invite that somehow I got invited to. But I met a financial advisor there, and sure enough, I was, she's like, "Oh, great, let's connect." And what does she do? She pulls out her phone and says, "Let me find you on LinkedIn." Right. So, definitely everyone uses sort of different platforms, and we scheduled a meeting this week, and we scheduled it all through conversation on LinkedIn. So, I do love that idea of making sure you meet people where they're at and use the platforms that are there. And I definitely begrudgingly will have to figure out TikTok at some point this year, but I keep saying this year, I committed to do it in January. So that wasn't a very strong commitment. But speaking of commitments of time, Jack has a great question: is how much time per day would you spend doing basically all of this stuff?
It will only take you it takes me maybe 20 minutes in the morning. Now I try to do 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, because during the day I'm pretty booked solid with very little room in between to get on social, believe it or not. So it's usually early morning, start with birthdays. That's the easiest one on Facebook. It's just wishing everybody a happy birthday. And it's also your time to audit your friends too. Like if you're going to wish them a happy birthday and they're not really someone that you would want to deepen a relationship with, then I would remove them at that time too. So I kind of kill two birds with one stone there. But it's an extension to your database management and nurturing. And the reality is not everyone looks at text messages anymore with all the spam and emails and voice drops, that where they are and where social media is meant for it to be a social relationship. And I can't tell you how many loan officers or agents, they will tell me, oh, well, I just want more followers. I want more likes. I want more engagement. I'm like, but how much engagement are you giving? So why would you expect something in return that you're not even willing to do each day? It's silly. And it's meant for you to build those connections and use media as a form of just, deepening those relationships. So I would spend at minimum 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. And again, it's strategic. It's on accounts that you're wanting to nurture.
Can I say spend 20 minutes maximum instead of minimum? Because
whether you choose in the morning or the evening, then I think it's easiest in the morning. And again, starting with birthdays. And it's also a way to audit.
We put that in a planner where we track social media posts and or time. And I did the posts for people, I think is the important one, because I do believe, especially because Deborah's convinced me of it, that we all need to post a lot more than at least than I do. And secondarily, I also said time on there, and it's really what's the maximum time. For me, that's the hardest part is, I'm no different than everyone else. I'll get sucked in the rabbit trail. So if I have to say, okay, I'm only going to go on for 5 minutes or 10 minutes in order to make sure that I get myself back off and get to what it is that I need to be doing.
Well, and what I like about it too, and I think this is where, I love looking at my memories. I think I shared one, it was either today or yesterday, of a coaching program that I had done 5 years ago, that I just reflecting over the growth in 5 years of what all I had accomplished. I wouldn't have known necessarily unless I'd gotten that reminder of that memory. And then it's also, my father-in-law, who's no longer with us anymore. I get to see things from him. It's almost like his personal brand legacy that thankfully I get to go to my kids and say, look, this is who Peepaw was. And we're not great with photo albums and getting photos printed anymore, because I have 13,000 photos on this darn phone. But it's just a way to, even honor those who aren't with us anymore. Or my dad, who lives in the Philippines, obviously he's never met my kids, but he gets to interact and see kind of how they are raised just through social media. So there's a lot of good with social. I always say it's kind of like money. People say money's the root of all evil, and it's kind of a magnifier of who the person is. I think social media is the same. It can be used for good and as a tool and a way to be that lighthouse in the community in a time that a lot of people need it. If you share positivity and real, authentic messages that will help people. So
I love it. I love it. Laura says social media activity to expand to the time you allow for it. Yes, that is it. That is it.
Yes. Guilty.
Well, Laura's in my operating system group coaching program. So, which is a blast. I can't believe my first round winds up tomorrow, and then the next batch launches on Wednesday. I've had a lot of questions on it. I'm not going to do, I won't do another one. I can't say I won't do one in Q4 this year. I'm definitely not doing one for Q3, but I probably won't do it again until Q1 of next year. So, super excited. I'm fired up to be doing it again.
Man, I would think a lot of people need it for Q4, because that traction, you do not to put pressure on you to do it in Q4. I know it's hard with the holidays, but that's where a lot of people take their foot off the gas pedal, and then you wonder why first quarter can be tougher.
Yeah, I think, it'll be interesting to see. I've got some other ideas of some other ways to help, but I believe Q4 is always one of the greatest opportunities, because you just said it. Everyone else is kind of coasting, and it's just a great opportunity, whether you're a realtor or a loan officer, to put your foot on the gas, because everyone else is kind of thinking, oh, this isn't the busy time of year. Realtors think that no one's going to list a house between November and between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Loan officers think that realtors think that, and they don't actually work between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so it's just a great opportunity in my mind to reach out to people. So I will take that into consideration, Miss Byrd.
Yeah, I'm curious, those who are on this webinar, if they would put in the comments, whether you're a loan officer or agent, what is the most common question you're getting from your clients in today's market right now?
Oh, look
so
at
y'all
you.
be thinking of that.
It's a survey for tomorrow. Huh? I like it.
I'm curious.
All right, so
even from the loan officer side, what's
all right,
the number one?
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. So anything else on 75 hard before I talk about wrapping up the quarter and launching into the new quarter?
No, just integrate it with your CMA a day or TCA a day challenge. And when you commit to it, no, if you have to start over, you can start over. It's not meant. Someone asked me, when does it start? It starts when you're ready to make the commitment to yourself to start it, basically.
Yeah. All right. I like that. You can go anytime. It's interesting too. I'll say my last thing is I love, I've seen a ton of realtors do 75 hard. Andy Frizella, he's got isn't it like MF CEO, Mother Effing CEO or something like that is his podcast. I saw him speak at the first Gary V Agent 2021 conference. I'd never seen the guy before, but I thought he was cool. I had my picture with him, and it was actually one of my most liked pictures that year when I posted. And so I think it's a great thing. And I see a lot of realtors do it. Although I just did see someone who posted the other day that they did a modified version where they still had alcohol. And I was like, all right, I don't know that that's really what the point of it was, but that's okay. All right. So we're getting some great questions in there. Keep those going. Spoiler alert, it's for our call on the mortgage coach call tomorrow that we're asking those questions for. So that'll be great. All right. So real quick, I've already done one on how to do your quarterly review, but let's just kind of real quick, just touch on it, right? I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're a WinBinding user or not. You should be looking back at what has happened so far this year, because I know, talking to real estate agents that they're slow. They've been slow this year. I know talking to loan officers, it's been really interesting. Some loan officers have told me, oh my gosh, I was really busy in January and then it died off in February and March. And so I've heard everything from, dead, super busy. My team's been pretty consistent. So I've been, happy about that, but I can say looking at their applications, January was like a record for applications, even after, COVID and all that, but, February and March were slower, which means that probably, 60, 90 days down the road will be less closings unless everyone, busts a little bit. So the whole point of actually doing a review is you have to look at your current reality, right? How am I doing on plan, right? I'm a quarter of the way through the year. And now that I'm a quarter of the way through the year, am I actually going the direction I want? If I think I'm going to close 60 transactions, am I at 15 now? Right. And some people are like, well, but I like to seasonally adjust it. Great. If you've got a good dial in on what your season is, then do it. I'm just a law of the averages guy. So I would say, okay, am I at 15 now? Yes or no? And then ultimately look back at the activity. If you're at your goal and your activity was, whatever it was, right? Let's pretend it was 100 calls a month and it was talking to 100 people a month and it was meeting with 25 people a month. If you hit your goal doing that, then guess what? You can plan for Q2 to do those same amount of activities. However, if you had those activities in the first quarter and you haven't hit your goal that you plan to hit, then you've got to decide right now, right? I'm 1 quarter in the year only, right? Only 1 quarter in the year. Am I going to put my foot on the gas and increase my activity because the market is shifting to ensure that I hit my 60 unit goal at the end of the year? Or am I actually just going to go ahead and hang it up now and say, yep, I'm not going to get that goal? And that's okay. I think it's a chicken way out. Because you got to work hard, but if you choose it, then choose it and own it, right? It's not a chicken way out if you actually choose and own, in my opinion. If you actually say, hey, I'm okay with the fact that my goal was to do 15, I only did 12, and I'm not going to put my foot on the gas and do more, then, you just have to own that. You have to own the fact that my goal is no longer 60, maybe my goal is now 48. And if you don't take the time to look at it and to plan, then I don't think you'll ever get there. So it's a matter of really just knowing your numbers. It was funny. Jeremy Forcier on the Tuesday call last week made a comment, and it was kind of, but like at the very end, I call it kind of garbage time, right? Where you're just, I shouldn't say, we don't really ever have garbage time on our calls, but it was at the very end when we pretty much had said what we were saying and wrap it. I was, hey, I got a challenge for you guys. Do 100 calls, do a call day with 100 calls. And he's like, he said, I did it yesterday. I got 77 done. And And so guess what I did on Friday? I said, I'm going to do 100 calls. I only had one thing on my calendar, and that was the mortgage coach call. And I thought I'm just going to crank it out. So of course, and it's funny for those of you in the operating system group coaching program, I'll go a little deeper into this tomorrow on the call, but the bottom line was this: I got 80 calls done. And I was actually, kind of patting myself on the back on one hand. And I was like, I didn't get 100. So guess what? I'm going to do it again. I got to figure out another day where I don't have a whole lot going on. And it was a little bit difficult for me because of course I have the call that takes an hour and 15 minutes. And then I get done with the call and Dave calls me. He wants to chat because we haven't, we're overdue to catch up. And he's like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm doing my 100 calls. Like, oh no, then I better go, bro. I'm like, no, we'll talk to him. Right. I'm at the office. Adam's at the office. Adam wants to come sit down and talk to me for 15 minutes. My brother-in-law's at the office. He's a loan officer on our team. He came and talked to me for 10 minutes about advice for a client. Adam's assistant was at the office. I haven't probably seen her in 3 or 4 months. Guess what? She came down and sat with me. So I could make excuses for it. But really what happened was at the end of the day, all the people started calling me back. And when they all started calling me back, then my outbound dialing went down. But bottom line was, I did, looks pretty impressive actually, if you guys can see it, but I actually, I dialed 80 people. I kept track per hour, how many people I talked to. And then I did 58 quality conversations. So that was pretty good, a pretty good percentage of people. Although normally if I call 30 people, I talk to 30 people. So I talked a little less than I dialed, which was okay because I would have probably not gotten 80 done. It depends on the length of what it is you're trying to discuss with the client, all that. So we'll probably talk about it more because Dave Savage says he's going to do a 100 call day, and I don't know who he's going to call, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to get one scheduled, and for sure in the next 2 weeks I'll do it again. I
was thinking he would be calling people to invite to the Modern Mortgage and Real Estate Summit coming up.
That's a great idea. That's
why I think I texted y'all wondering who are those calls typically geared. Like I know with you wear multiple hats with the multiple businesses that you have. I was curious, who do y'all call?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a loan officer or a real estate agent, I think you have to think about who, are you behind on calling anyone first, right? So first is, who should I have called that I haven't called? I think the biggest challenge if you're going to do 100 calls in a day is if you don't have your call list prepared, then you're probably going to fail, right? If you don't know who the 100 people you would call are, then, you're kind of, who am I going to call? And so, for me, it was a matter of deciding, what are kind of my verticals that I'm going to call. And so I had, I used to do business development for my team. And so I had a list of real estate agents that I wanted to call on behalf of my team. So that was my easy first part of my day, of calls. And if I was a loan officer, I would absolutely have a real estate agent call list. I'd be calling my agents that I work with that I haven't talked to, that I should be talking to. I'd be talking to agents that were listing agents or some other part of a transaction that I want to call or that I want to talk to. And then I'd be calling some prospect real estate agents in there as well. As long as you're doing it, you might as well do it all. Jeremy, what he said he was doing is he was kind of more almost doing annual mortgage reviews, kind of sign them up for HomeBot and let him know that he's watching over their loans. And so again, those are pretty quick calls. I mean, part of it is you can't plan to call people and go over a CMA 100 times in a day. You can't call people 100 times and go over a TCA. I mean, you're really trying to design these to be shorter calls, and you want to talk to them as long as you have to, but as little as you need to, so they don't feel like you're rushing them off the phone. Right. So for me, my most successful hour was 14. I had 2 hours where I did 14 calls, an hour I did 13 calls. It kind of went downward. The first 45 minutes I made 12 calls. And so I tried to just sort of keep track of what it looked like. And then, again, it's you lose time during the days, right? We already heard it here, right? You get what you tolerate. And I tolerated people coming in because I normally have been working remote and I was in the office. And so I wasn't going to say no to them. But you have to sort of just plan, like, how can I isolate myself too? And then how can I not get distracted? And, oh gosh, how did the stock market close? Oh, what happened with the bond market? What was what were these reports and all this stuff that can distract us. And then I think really for me, it would be, if I was a loan officer or a real estate agent, it'd be HomeBot calls. It'd be super easy for me to want to put people into HomeBot. And again, if you've already signed them up, you go into your HomeBot and you look, have they looked at their report lately? If they have, say, hey, awesome. Hey, I wanted to see if you've been getting my home digest. Again, you already know that they have because you've seen it. And if they say, yeah, I love it, or then you say, what do you think of it? And then they say they love it. They say, hey, I love it. Then you say, hey, what do you like about it? Right. You're asking the question behind the question. And then you're just, kind of seeing what feedback that they have for it. And then at the end, you're asking them, hey, do you know anyone else that might benefit from having me send them a financial snapshot like this every month. You're asking for the referral, right? If they haven't ever opened it, then you're doing the opposite. You already know they haven't looked at it, but you're calling them and saying, hey, have you been getting the home digest I've been sending you? And they say no. Say, well, hey, do you mind looking it up, right? So you're going to go ahead and whatever email address you're sending it from, you're going to have them look it up and pull it in from spam and pull it into their inbox to make it safe, and then explain to them what you heard from the other clients, why they loved it, of why they'll love it, so that they start looking at it. So it's really a good way for you to go through your own database, and or if they're not in there, of adding them to it and say, hey, I'm adding to this database, this really cool tool, blah, 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 the rest of your script, and then push send and send it out to them. And then that gives you a reason to follow up next week and make sure that they got it. And again, you'll have the intel. You can see, did they actually log in and look at it, or did they not? Because if they didn't, it's probably going into their spam. So that's what I'm thinking. What would you do, Deborah?
Well, I was going to say, I like what the Waltster.
Oh,
the
Walt's
best.
a superstar.
Yeah. Walt, I just want to give him a plug here, because he's one of the best students to actually take action, whether it's getting people in a room for the Modern Mortgage Summit, doing the CMA a day challenge, and also guiding his real estate agents through the market by having his, twice a month meetings to really be that anchor for them. He's really got the Schulster, he said, the mindset of being the lighthouse, but he's a doer. He's a student and he's a doer. And we had talked about before where he talked about going through his database, calling to find out just how they are, if he can answer any questions about the economy, or be of any help with them when asking for referrals for financial advisors and CPAs, which that's really been his goal this year, is, building those other highway streams, like Wally had said, for his business. And so what I love about that is Walt actually has 2 videos coming out this week, which, side note for Walt, I saw his TCA video submission, and I'm like, oh, I told the team we're moving it up, because they were so good. He did a TCA showing an ARM versus a fixed rate, and they were so good that those of you listening, be on the lookout on his YouTube channel for, I think it's Tuesday and Friday this week, but they're great. And he's taking the current pain points, which you only know if you're communicating with your database. And it makes a really easy call when the motive is pure and you care enough to just pick up the phone and be like, hey, how are you doing? And then again, you shut up and you just let them talk, and, whatever questions they have about the economy, or, what do we do with inflation? Is now the right time to even think about selling? Just whatever questions they could have. When you become a student of and obsessed with your clients of what their challenges are, and then you go solve them, whether that's clients being your referral partner clients or your actual clients in your database, then you're giving that 10x value, which is the ultimate goal for any brand, because that's what really separates a brand, is the value you bring. So I just love Walt and appreciate his loyalty to this group and to himself and to the community that he serves, that, he's a great example for all.
Love that and totally agree. All right. So we're going to go a few more minutes here. Every time I say, hey, let's keep this to 30 minutes. And then we're always so excited. We always go about 40 to 45 minutes. So that's, I'm always grateful for you, Deborah, and spending the time. And so, I think you just have to put your hat back on then of again, when we're talking about who to call, I think Walt's idea is great. In the end, it's most people I talk to haven't talked to their clients in a long time. And so I think it's just a matter of, in an ideal world, you have a database and you just open up that database and go through it. So wherever that is, and you don't have to have anything more than, hey, just checking in, right? I was just thinking about you. You just saw their name in your database. I was just thinking about you. And then you can call, and as long as you're genuinely interested in who they are, as long as you do what Deborah said and you actually listen, then, that's the key. And then just be, oh, awesome. Hey, I'm just so glad you grabbed the phone. It was so great to catch up. I know you're busy. I'm going to let you go now, right? To be able to get out of it. Because you've got some of those clients that you could talk to for an hour. Maybe you would love to talk to them for an hour. And if so, great, do it. However, I would just encourage you. Think about that. If you're going to call 8 hours, I don't know what the math is on that. Is that 15 people an hour? I'm a nerd. I literally wrote in there how many people I had to call. I was trying to call 13 people an hour, 10 in the first 45 minutes, then 13 people, and then 12 in the last hour. And I tracked how many calls I made and how many I was short. So at 11 o'clock, I was already 4 behind. And then I caught back up. I was only 3 behind at noon. And then it went off the off at 2 o'clock. I was done. I was behind by 10. Then I knew I wasn't going to hang it up then. I still thought I could make it up, but then that's when Ella dropped in, and it was just good to catch up with her. So I got what you get, what you tolerate. I allowed the distraction.
Well, you know what makes this easier, Todd? If it's been a while since you've called your clients, is if you date or flirt a little bit using social media. You kind of notice what's going on, you comment, you slide into their DMs. Then it makes it a lot easier when you go to call, so it's not weird where it's like, hey, remember me? I was the loan officer that helped you buy the home 6 years ago, never stayed in touch. Just warm it up a little bit, use social media to warm that relationship back up, and then go in for the call.
Yeah, I would say this, like, there's nothing more awkward than, hey, it's Todd Bookspan. They're like, who? That's when you probably it's probably been too long since you reached out or did anything, but that's okay. Be okay with that piece of it. It's just put it behind you, move on to the next one, right? They should be like, oh my gosh, oh, of course, Todd, how are you doing, right? But if they're not, I mean, it's going to happen, right? We know if you call through your database, you're going to talk to someone who bought and sold without you. You're going to talk to someone who refinanced or bought a house without you. And that's just the way that it is, because, there's the whole old saying of, if you don't keep in touch with them, they won't keep in touch with you. And that's really where I think the opportunity is. I guess what I'm going to have to do is, as I'm hearing myself talk it out, is I'm just going to have to commit to April, doing it once a week for April. And, again, you could say I failed because I didn't get 100. I did, but 80 was pretty darn good, right?
People are following the daily, like if it's status update calls, I mean, you're making lots of calls on Tuesdays, and then even protecting the pipeline on Wednesdays. I mean, which day of the week with the win by noon content theme would you say you probably talk to the most people?
I think it depends on how many clients you have in each stage, right? I think for a lot of people, it's Thursday. It's when you're calling realtors, because you don't have, a lot of people don't have as many transactions going. But when you have a lot of transactions going, then Tuesday would typically be your biggest day. But if you've got a huge pre-approved pipeline, then obviously Wednesday will be big as well. And so I think for a lot of loan officers, I think Monday is too crazy after the weekend for people to commit to doing it. And Friday is, kind of catch up, do your annual mortgage review. So Friday to me would be an easy day to do it. But again, you could do it on Thursday too, crank out all your realtor calls and then get right into it. It's just really a matter of what day aren't you overscheduled. I'm overscheduled on Mondays and Tuesdays already, and then sometimes on Wednesdays. So for me, it's typically a Thursday or a Friday. Although, when I look at my calendar, since, as I said, when I sat there with my daughter, I actually did my week ahead. I did my ideal week, my week ahead action plan for the next couple of weeks, just because, I'm trying to squeeze a lot in there, but I have it just seems like I got a lot of stuff shoved in on Thursdays, which used to be my kind of Thursdays and Fridays, my empty days. But like I got a 4 o'clock.
It would be really easy for people listening is the loan officers. If you leverage the Modern Mortgage Summit, the Modern Real Estate Summit, which is May 25th, by the way, that would be an easy value add of, hey, I'd like to invite you to my exclusive event. It's invite only, whatever you want to say, where I'm taking the top real estate professionals. If I were a loan officer, I would say the top real estate professionals. And I'd really like to have you there. Just need your commitment and I'll save you a seat. It's going to be at this place. We're going to have, drinks or lunch, whatever you want. And then even for real estate agents, if you're recruiting right now, I think it would be a great way to invite someone that you're recruiting or another real estate agent, even with your own team that you're trying to grow, from a solo agent to building out your team. This would be a great event for you to, get commitments and just get on the phones and call saying, hey, we're going to have this awesome event at my office. It's from this time to this time. Because guys, remember the Modern Mortgage Summit is in the morning and the Modern Real Estate Summit is in the afternoon. But to me, those are, if you do those monthly masterminds or do classes, that's also easy. Just jump on the phones and make phone calls, because you at least feel like you're offering something to invite them to, not just a small talk.
I like that. We're working on I wasn't on the meeting with Dave and Adam this morning, but we're working on the show clock for that day. So the morning will be the Modern Mortgage Summit. And then the afternoon, we'll probably do a 30-minute break just to give the team that's doing the recording a break. And then we'll start the Modern Real Estate Summit in the afternoon. We're going to try to keep it between 2.5 and 3 hours. So my guess is we'll probably start at 8, which means we'll probably go to 11:30. I mean, my guess is we'll probably start at noon Pacific. So it'll be a little later for you East Coast folks. It'll be like an afternoon happy hour in your office. And, people in the middle will be, early afternoon, and obviously lunchtime for the West Coasters. But I think it'll give an opportunity to do what Deborah just said, and to do, think about it now, because you can buy one ticket. It's good for both. And then just say, hey, here's where I'm going to be showing it in my office, put it up on the big screen. Dan Keller last time had a movie theater, which again, still makes me a little nervous that I was 40 feet tall on a movie screen, but nonetheless, he did that. That was a great way. He had, a ton of people in there. And then you also have the opportunity to buy, discounted bulk passes as well, if you don't want to get people there, or you invite them to your event and you give them the discounted bulk pass that you bought as a gift afterwards, so that you have a reason to follow up with them and give them homework on what to watch. We'll be putting out the list of realtors. We just got Veronica Figueroa. She was the #1 agent for units last year with EXP in the world. She'll be on it again. She was on the first one, and she's a dynamo. We don't really tell them what to talk about. We let them talk about whatever they want. And so I can't wait to see what she says. But again, you got a lot of time, right? May 25th is almost 2 months away, right? I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, okay, it's only the 4th. And so it's a lot of time to build up to something big. So that would be super cool. I'll have to see what my team is doing. I've never really pushed it with my team, because I really don't want my team to be sitting there making fun of me as I say and ah and do all those things on the big screen.
Just flex your guns with your veins that have been popping lately.
That's why I keep my arms below, so you guys can't see my arms, because Deborah makes fun of me.
No, it's good. It's a reminder for all of us. I can't remember who said it in your the Win by Noon mastermind group, but to be a winner and to win by noon, it's not just the activities we do, it's also your health, which has always been on my list of things. The execution has not been as great as I would like for it to be, but it's still in my awareness where it's a focus, and you inspire me on that. You do good.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. So someone's asking, if you're going to invite realtors, it's in the afternoon. The morning will be mortgage professionals. And I think that what that would probably do is reinforce some of the things that you're teaching them, but it would be less valuable to the realtors as being there in the afternoon, since that'll be real estate agents talking directly to them. So great question. That's a good thing there. So yeah, I would invite the realtors to the afternoon session, and I'll make sure. In fact, I'll put it on my to-do list right now. I'll confirm the time that we call it the show clock. So that way we can let you all know, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be noon Pacific that we're going to start for the realtors. And then, we're just going to keep it. We'll have more content this year, since we're doing both in the same day. We'll have more content. So the cool part about it is that, you can get a 30-day or a 365-day pass. And then the extra content, whatever recordings are submitted to us that don't make the live show, will actually be available to you in the content. And you've heard Deborah talk about it a lot before. For me, I would be taking, if I had a 365 pass from last year, I'd be still using that content for my lunch and learns and with my realtor partners. You play the video and then you say, awesome, what do you think? And then you shut up and let all the real estate agents in the room talk about it. That's really a great way to run a sales meeting. Or if I was a sales leader in the mortgage space, I'd run one of the videos and say, what do you think? And then there are some on the mortgage side that are universal. I had to think more about it from the second one, but from the first one, we had two different people talk about, the power of no and how to say no. One of them was Shayla Gifford, and the other, why am I drawing a blank at his name? But I'll think about it in a minute. But they were both great. They were actually, that was some of my favorite content from the first one. And that's good for anyone. It doesn't matter, you could be doesn't matter what your industry is. You need to say no more often and be better at that. All right. Any other thoughts or questions?
Painful lessons before I learned that one.
It's we're just not good at it. I mean, you already heard me say it, right? I had people walk in my office. I had Dave Savage call me, and I talk to Dave all the time. Like I said, you're right, bro. Let me go. I'm going to make my 100 calls, or I could have let it go to voicemail, right? You get what you tolerate. I picked up the phone, and then I didn't want to be like, yeah, I'm a jerk. I picked up the phone. Yeah, I'm doing my 100 calls. So see you later. Bye. Right. I'm like, hey, no, let's have the conversation. And let's, because I knew I was going to be busy over the weekend, and, we had things that we had to discuss. And so I think that that's the whole, the whole lesson always to me is that I choose whether I say yes or no. And it's just one of those things that is, kind of a nightmare, I think, for anyone in sales, because we're people pleasers, right? We're not good at that part. And then I'm not good at, that script I just gave you. Oh, awesome. You know what? I know you're so busy. I really appreciate taking time, but let me let you go so you can get back to work. And, just get better at those types of things and be aware of that. Because you'll hear there's people that when you call them are like, oh, awesome. Hey, I know you're busy. I'll let you go now. Like, that are really good at saying that to get off the phone with you. And then you just have to learn those little scripts.
Awesome. Okay. So close it up, Todd. What would be your win by noon action plan from today?
All right. My close them up because I think it serves both mine and Deborah's mission is to look at the 75 hard that Deborah's put together. I think it's the 75 very hard, and I love it. And I think it's a big commitment. Ultimately, it serves what I believe you should be doing, which is a TCA or a CMA a day. And then I think it also marries in there what I've known for a long time, but I'm finally letting it sink in to take action on it myself, which is the CMA, which is doing the social media more often. And, making sure that you use that to kind of, grease the wheels as I would say for those calls. And I feel like if you are committed to that, I think that you will absolutely grow your business. I don't know too many people right now who feel like their 2022 is going to be better than their 2021 was. And I think that this is a great opportunity for you to have a way to actually maybe make that happen, or at least make your Q2 better than your Q1, because Q1 was really good for a lot of people. And hopefully that was you. If it wasn't, then gosh, well, let's make sure that Q2 is great. And I think that this is a great way to do it. How do you want to wrap it up, Deborah?
Just not to neglect your database because of the fear of, exactly what you said with not connecting with them for too long. And like you said, I think that was always my biggest concern too, when you make that call and they're like, Deborah and who? And you're like, oh. And so it's just getting over that. And if you need help getting over that, then just leverage social media as your way. I think everyone should be leveraging media to transform lives anyways, but just use that as your way to kind of nurture and nudge people along, that you haven't forgotten about them, that you're noticing them, that you see them, uniquely see them by then calling and asking them something, and you can even reference what you saw of a recent post. It's always easier when people are posting, but just don't be afraid to take that first step. And like the quote says today, you got this, now make it happen. So y'all make it happen.
Let's do it. All right. Great way to wrap it up. You got this. Let's make it happen. As always, thank you for taking time to be there. And more importantly, Deborah, I shouldn't say more importantly. Yeah, more importantly, I'll say it. You guys are all important, but hey, wouldn't happen if Deborah wasn't here with me. She makes it a lot better. So I'm super grateful for you and appreciate it. We will see you all soon.
Bye.